Have you ever wondered why some people have marks on their faces and maybe on their bodies? Hello and welcome to TVC Investigates. I am Abimbola Agbibi. Tribal marks have been arguably believed to be a common feature of most Nigerian cities, used as a means of identification or beautification. Previously compulsory practice among some African tribes, facial markings are gradually losing their relevance across the continent. In this episode titled Dying Art of Yoruba Tribal Markings, I went to some major towns in southwestern Nigeria where the art of tribal marking is most prevalent. The quest to know about tribal marks and the dyeing tradition among the Yoruba people of Nigeria took me and my team to some major towns in Osun and Oyo states in the southwestern parts of the country. We decided to stop over in Ede, a sleepy community in Osun State. Here, we met this old man popularly known as Jimo, who can neither hear nor speak. He is a widower with long tribal marks etched into either side of his face. While I tried to tell him about why we're in his community, he simply smiled, definitely wondering what my gesticulations could mean. Jimo giggles each time I pointed at the marks on his face. He was a bit curious. Just a few meters away from here is another man with slightly different facial marks. The striking feature among the indigenes of this part of the country is a striking resemblance in the type of marks on their faces. Rather than being embarrassed by them, they take pride in talking about them, telling the stories of why they are important to the survival of the culture. We were told that tribal marks are a part of the Yoruba culture that helps in identifying a person's tribe or family. Each ethnic group in the Yoruba tribe had different inscription patterns, sizes, and shapes of marks at different parts of the face or body. Tribal marks are usually inscribed at a very young age, especially as babies, robbing those children of an opportunity to decide whether to get the marks. There is a particular inscription pattern for those born into royal families. This is meant to set them apart from regular citizens.
Ní ìdílé tiwa, a gbọ́ nínú ìtàn yìí pé gbogbo ẹni tó bá ti jẹ́ family ọlọ́mọba, wọ́n máa ń kọlà fún wọn. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó bá jẹ́ ẹni tó jẹ́ pàtó, ẹni tó bá ti jákọ̀bí, wọ́n máa ń fún nílà. Tó túmọ̀ sí pé láyé àtijọ́ tí wọ́n fi ń rí ọmọ ọba gbé jáde lọ síbì kan. Ọ̀nà méjì náà máa ń gbà kọlà yìí. Ẹni tó bá jákọ̀bí nínú ìdílé lọ́dọ̀ títí wa, wọ́n máa ń kọlà yẹn fún wọn. ìdá ọjọ́kùnrin or obìnrin. For example sin irú èmi first born ni mí ní ọ̀dọ̀ dájì mi, that's why tí wọ́n ṣe kọlà yẹn fún mi. Ìkókó ni mo wà tán fi kọlà yìí fún mi torí mi mọ̀ bọ́n ṣe kọ́ ṣó ti yé. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí mo dàgbà mo rí pé bí mo ṣe ń dàgbà kíní yẹn tún mú ẹwà mi jáde sí, ó tún wá ń jẹ́ àmì ìdánimọ̀ tán fi mọ ọmọ ìlú ibi tí wọ́n ti bí mi. Torí tí n bá lọ sí outing mi ní sọ̀rọ̀ fúnra mi, Ọ̀yọ́ lẹ ti wá màá níbẹ̀ ni. Kí ni reason tẹ́ ṣe mọ̀ pé Ọ̀yọ́ mo ti wá? Ìlà tẹkọ̀ yìí ó ti mọ dájú pé ọmọ bíbí ìlú Ọ̀yọ́ ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà ni mí.
Látìgbà kan ti bí mi ni látìgbà kékeré ni wọ́n ti kọ́. Ìlú Ọ̀yọ́ ni Ọ̀yọ́ Aláàfin Òjó Pàṣẹkẹrẹ ọmọ Àtìbà ńlá wa bá a ṣe wà yìí. Wọ́n máa ń sọ ní ìgbà kan wípé olówó ní ìkọlà nígbà ayé àwọn bàbá wa tí wọ́n gbé ojú ti là ní ìsinyìí wọn ò kọ́ mọ́ lọ títí ní ìsìn bọ̀ ìgbà kan wọ́n ń kọ́kọ́ sẹ́ni tí ẹ̀ lè rí lálójú rẹ̀ nígbà kan bóyá bí oge ṣíṣe àbí ara oge ṣíṣe náà ni ọ wà bọ̀ wọ́n mọ́ dásà pé olówó ní ìkọlà pé ẹni tí ò bá lówó lọ lásìkò pé ẹni tí ò bá lówó lọ pé kò lè kọlà.
Semiu is one of the drummers in the palace of the Aláàfin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi. He also has marks on his face. Semiu has the daily task of entertaining every palace visitor. While explaining what the marks on his face symbolize, he attempted to teach me the song that is usually sung while the marks are being inscribed.
Ìlà tí òun wò yìí ìlà ìṣẹ̀ndílẹ̀ ní àti ayé àdáyébá ni à ń pè yẹn ní méje bí àwa náà ṣe bá láti ìgbà wáṣẹ̀ ni ìlà yẹn nígbà tó di pé ojú là táyédáyé èbó ni wọn ò kọ́ mọ́ so bàbá mi tó dúró yìí àwọn náà ń kọ́ mẹ́rin ni tiwọn náà mẹ́rin yẹn jẹ́ bí ìlà mẹ́jọ àwọn bàbá tí wọ́n bí wa bí wọ́n ṣe kọ́ wa níbi tí wọ́n gbé wa nù ohun tó wá tó tẹ̀lú sí Ọ̀yọ́.
While some maintain that the marks were given to them as a means of enhancing their beauty, others blame tribal wars for them. These wars happened a few thousand years ago. There are some narratives around the origin of tribal marks in Yoruba land. Alagba Adebayo Faliti, a well-known Nigerian poet and actor, recites one.
Tribal marks is to identify who you are, where you come from, what area you belong to, and they tell you from what part of the Yoruba land you come from. Tribal marking is interesting. It was introduced by Ṣàngó when he was the Aláàfin of Ọ̀yọ́, when he was the Aláàfin of Yoruba land. There is the tradition that Ṣàngó sent two of his slaves to Ibariba land where his parents came from. He sent them to know the name of his mother, two slaves. So two of them went, and by the time they were making the sacrifice, one of them was drunk and couldn't listen to what the name was. So when they got back to Ṣàngó, one was able to give the mother's name, the other could not. Ṣàngó said, "What I'm going to do to you is this. get me a good knife, and he tore their skin with the knife, their arms, all over the body. When the wound healed, whenever the slave passed through the wives, they admire the man. They keep on looking at him. Oh, fine, fine. As I was very angry. Why do you look at him? I said, don't you know that he looks better with the marks we have made on him? Okay, I'm going to have marks made on me too. And he called the mark maker. They started with the arm. They've done 1, 2, 3. He couldn't bear the pain anymore, and he forgot it. And that was the mark of royalty in those days. 3 marks on the left arm.
The tribal mark phenomenon is not unique to the Yorubas. Some other Nigerian tribes also have it. In the states of Kogi, Kano, and even some in the eastern parts of the country, tribal marks are known to still exist among different tribes. Kanuri tribe has its own, so do Nupe people. The importance of the art of tribal marking is firmly rooted in the culture of most Nigerian tribes, as evidenced by most of the past political leaders and heroes who bore different marks identifying their tribes. But the practice is predominant in the southwest, especially in Oyo and Osun states.
Ìlàpọ̀ irú àwa ìlà wa ó lè dídà rẹ̀ ẹ̀wò mẹ́ta lè ń bì ẹ̀wò mẹ́fà lè ìlò lọ́la kì í paapọ̀ irú àwa Ọ̀yọ́ la ti wá àtẹ̀lé tí mi wá bí àwọn míì wá látọ̀fà àwọn míì wá látògbómọ̀ṣọ́.
Research shows tribal marks came into Nigeria during the colonial era when Africans were captured and taken to foreign countries as slaves. The idea then among African tribes was to mark their family members so it would be easy to locate them if captured or identify them when freed.
In our own family now, when we see anybody with tribal marks, is it vertical or horizontal? You know, vertical. We know Omishore or Mowani. Like my own family now, we have 3 marks, you know, on the cheeks. And once you see it, you are able to identify this is my child. And you'll be able to identify which compound you come from. And particularly under the slave trade, a lot of families have to put marks so that they don't wrongly go and pick and sell out their own family. So though it's going into extinction, but definitely it's part of Yoruba tradition.
Now we're on our way to Osogbo, southwestern Nigeria. It's been a long journey from Lagos to Ibadan, from Ibadan to Ile-Ife, from Ile-Ife to Ede, from Ede to Osogbo, one of the Yoruba towns where the art of tribal marking is still being practiced.
Here in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, tribal marks are seen on the face of almost everyone. Akonde Jamiu is popularly known as Olola, which simply means the one who inscribes face and body marks. He not only specializes on facial and body marks, but also in male and female circumcision as well. The female circumcision, which has been termed genital mutilation, is still practiced here. Akonde brought out his tools just as he prepares to settle down to his daily tasks. This is a profession that is usually practiced by particular families within a community and is passed on from one generation to another at a very tender age.
Bó ṣe wà yìí, ara di òsàdílé wa nìyí, àwa náà ti lálàá ilé, tàdájú bá ti máa káàkiri, bá ti mo tó báyìí, mo ti ń bá wọn dáàdì mi lọ travel káàkiri tá a máa wà nílé náà ni wú àwọn ọmọ yìí báyìí táwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n wọn bá lọ sùkúl táwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n tàwa náà bá lọ sùkúl ayé àná àwa ni ó kùn lé.
Tribal marking in Yoruba land, and like we have it in some other Nigerian cities, is still on the decline now owing to modernization and some extant laws. But it may interest you to know that in Osogbo, southwestern Nigeria, the art is still being practiced.
Akode told me the art of tribal marking is still actively practiced in this community.
Ìlú Òṣogbo yìí báyìí bí mi ṣe ń sọ yìí mo sì kọ́ lánàá lánàá yìí mo sì kọ́ ní Ìjẹta wọ́n sì gbé mi lọ sí Ẹ̀rìn ní Ìjẹ̀ṣàn kò síbi tí wọ́n ti kọ́ ọkàn yẹ pé ọ̀làjú ti wọ ibùmí òṣàdílé táwa sí wọlé Òṣogbo inú láti Ọ̀yọ́.
Though the use of tribal marks as a means of identification or beautification is no longer popular in some Yoruba communities, a highly revered Yoruba monarch, Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi or Jaja II, believes tribal marks as a tradition should no longer be allowed in this civilized era.
Tribal mark and tribal markings, you have actually said it all. Beautification and identification. But in this age, there are so many things that are very relevant in the world now. So you need to blend modernity with tradition properly. I will pick the first one, identification. You don't need to have tribal marks any longer on your face for you to properly identify whether you are from Oyo, or you are from Ogbomoso, or you are from Ondo, or you are from Nupe, or you are from Ile-Ife. In the olden days, we don't have technology to drive means of identification like what we have now. So as a matter of fact, for identification, it doesn't make any sense for us to continue with that culture. And I'll tell you a very fundamental reason why. Even our deities, our forebears, our ancestors, all the divine spirit we met that our forebears left, they don't even like to see people with means of tribal marks. They don't like to see them. It's unbelievable until I got to this throne that I found out. They will tell you categorically that we don't want to have a close contact with people with tribal markings. So as a result, you are actually altering what God has actually created. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Why should you not put markings on your face? You know, but then, in the olden days, because of tribal wars, because of selling of human beings back and forth, so it's a must. You have to have tribal marks to identify yourself. So to me, it's going out of extinction. So yes, it will go.
Yes, it's gradually or
gradually.
It has gone into extinction.
Not completely,
Do we
but
still have places in Ife where
well, we're trying to. It's one of the things I'm going to take on by myself. That even our ancestors, they don't like to see them. They will tell us categorically, please do not bring someone with tribal marks. We don't like to see them. They usually get very upset, and they are divine spirits. They are one of the mysteries of the entire Yoruba land. So gradually we'll be orientating them that it's out of fashion. There are means of identification now. You know, in this jet age, social media is there, you know, so many other means of identification, passports. We didn't have all those things many years ago. So gradually it's going out of fashion. Then for the other one, beautification. That can stay, but you know, for beautification, not to your face. You know, but if you look at the Western world, they do tattoos. It's a culture that they picked from us. We started it as Africans. Africans started the culture of tattoo, and I think that can stay. Too much of everything is bad. If you drink water too much, it will affect you. If you eat too much, it will affect you. But moderation-wise, if you put in tattoo, I think it's part of your culture.
Traditionally, it tries to identify you with a group of people. The type of the marks you have will tell from what section of Yoruba country you come from. That's why some people still like to take it. But for me, I don't see why it should continue. The time has gone, and then life has changed. But if it has to continue, it has to be modified. It doesn't have to be as wide as this. There may be tiny, tiny lines.
In neighboring countries like Ghana, the story is not too different. My colleague in Ghana shares our story.
All tribes in Ghana have one form of tribal mark or the other, and they mean different things. Facial markings are, however, more common with some tribes than others. Bagnaba Imba is a Frafra from the Upper East region of Ghana. He was given these marks on his face minutes after he was born 82 years ago.
The mark for our face is different. Some get small for their face, but our house, they are only one. We give you one here, so that you know, say, you're from this family.
Bagnaba's wife, Agnes, is also a Frafra. She was lucky to have escaped the facial cuts.
When I was born first, they said they will give me the mark. The person will not come. The one who is making the mark, he will not come. Evening time, he will not come. Morning time, he will. So I think they close. And then my brothers too, they don't get the mark.
Out of their 6 children, only the first son has tribal marks on his face. Bagnaba thought it was wrong to give his children cuts on the face in these modern times. It is obvious his daughter Christy wouldn't have liked it.
I am born lucky because I was born here. I never had the tribal marks on my face, which I'm lucky because I see it as it's going to disfigure my face because it's not something that nice. And I've gone to school to have read, and I know that tribal marks are outmoded cultural practices.
Back in Nigeria, one of the most popular marks among the Yorubas is Gombo, which is prone to indigents of Ogbomoso in Oyo State in the southwest. Gombo comes with multiple street marks drawn from the head, which curves on the lower chin straight to the corner of the mouth. Others include Abaja, Bele, Bamu, and Keke. Those who believe in reincarnation say they mark their children so the family would be able to identify them after reincarnation. Some others say they inscribe their infants with facial marks to treat diseases. Among the Nigerian youth below the age of 35, it is currently difficult to find facial marks. This points to the fact that the culture is gradually fading out across the country. As some tribes in southwest Nigeria still hold on tightly to this age-long tradition, certain laws in some of these states now forbid parents or anyone from marking a child's face.
If you see some ladies, if you see the tribal mark on their face, you like them. My mother has a mark, and you need to see my mommy picture. Very, very beautiful.
No, I don't like it as a person. And I'm fortunate, and I'm unfortunate I don't have it.
I don't really like it. Even this one on my face, it's not that I like it. You know, I was still very young when they put it there. So, assuming I have my way of just removing it, I will just clean it up.
I just want to ask, how do you feel having this tribal marks on your face?
Although tribal markings in most African countries may have indeed become a dying tradition, those who already bear the vestiges of this old practice will live the rest of their lives with the scars of a tradition for which they never asked.
Thanks for watching. Keep your comments coming at investigate@tvcnews.tv. I am Abimbola Agbebi.